This was my vision for a thriving tropical ecosystem, a naturalistic wetland, complete with a running water feature, a dense forest-like canopy for arboreal creatures, and of course, a carefully selected variety of plants to bring this ecosystem to life. But over time, this happened. As time passed, I would notice small changes happening. These changes would not be a big concern for me, as I thought the ecosystem would fix itself. I even included a misting system to try to retain moisture in this tropical setup. But the enclosure kept drying out. I removed and reconstructed the water feature only to face the same problem again. So I switched to a simple water bowl. But then the plants began to die. My cleanup crews disappeared one by one. Nothing was working. Frustrated and out of options, I relocated the inhabitants. One day I decided I would try again. The first thing I would need to do is strip the entire enclosure. I took out every piece of decor. This one was one of my favorites. The inhabitants loved it. I continued this process and eventually started removing the substrate. This DIY substrate was a failure, and it needed to be remodified to retain moisture. There was many changes that I needed to consider to ensuring this was the best substrate for a tropical setup. So as I removed it, I thought about other ways to avoid this in the future. I was also considering not using clay balls as a drainage layer. I would use a technique where water would constantly reside at the bottom of the tank for humidity purposes. But I needed to ensure no animals had access to it to avoid the risk of accidental drownings. I continued to work at stripping away things that once created this tropical ecosystem. I wanted a fresh start. As more time and effort was put into this great reset, I would often notice how poorly built this ecosystem was. The background was done in a method that I would not recommend for tropical use. Once everything was stripped away, the regeneration process of the tank started. I began to put my new vision in place. While trying to envision this new look, I eventually decided to go with cork sheets because these were more naturally appealing. Now it was time to prepare for a false bottom. I needed to get the appropriate measurements, and with those measurements, I would cut pieces of egg crate and assemble them together with zip ties. This was a perfect fit. After sealing up a crack in the tank, I began to cut acrylic sheets for a pump barrier. These sheets were too difficult to cut, so I ended up using softer plastic sheets. These would work just as good. The barrier was finished. It was now time to give the barrier a natural look, and cork bark would be used to achieve this. So I drilled a hole for the pump hole. I was pleased with the final results. I added mesh to keep the substrate from falling through the egg crate. Now it was time to select a good variety of different stones for a water feature. I thought these were the best set of stones to add visual value. Now it was time to build my water feature. I started off the water feature build with XPS foam board to reduce weight. and then use spray foam to hold the stones in place to resemble a rocky water feature. But when I turned on the pump, the water wasn't flowing like I wanted it to. So then I decided to use Zoopoxy to reach the desired results. It worked. Now I can add cork branches and further design the enclosure. Once I achieved the look that I wanted, it was time to bring this kingdom to life. So I secured the branches with spray foam. I used sphagnum moss as a substitute substrate for the growth of moss. Then I placed moss along the waterfall and outer banks. I began to place decor to act as a shelter for the inhabitants. Everything at this point was perfect, but plants would truly bring this kingdom to life. I placed a variety of tropical plants and also included my favorite Boston ferns. Now let's add some leaf litter. A kingdom was born. Once a dry wasteland was now a majestical tropical oasis. This was the start of new beginnings. The animals were inserted into the rainforest as apex predators for this new kingdom. I was positive this tropical ecosystem would last for a very long time.
Oh, that is so cool. Oh my gosh. Dang. Oh my goodness. It looks so good. You did so good.